We are live. Well, hello there. Let's see. Go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Her First Million, a new YouTube channel tailored directly to women business owners in manufacturing, construction, and the trades. I'm Amanda Bedell, your host and guide on this journey. With Her First Million, we're dedicated to providing 3 segments set to transform your business trajectory. The first segment that I love is Love Your Numbers. I'm here to unravel the complexities of financial management, where we demystify the numbers so that you can confidently optimize your business for greater profitability. It is not accounting 101. I'm literally diving into those numbers so that you can use them in your business. So that we can create the world that you want to see. And then in the second segment that I do is called Ask Amanda. Those are where questions take center stage and no question is off limits. I have people that DM me for privacy, or they share their inquiries in the comments below. I'm thrilled to hear from people. Those are the best performing segments, is whenever I get to answer your questions, and I share insightful answers that can help you steer your business in the right direction. And the segments that I'm most excited about are these interviews. I sit down with trailblazing women entrepreneurs who have excelled in industries traditionally dominated by men. In these interviews, I unearth the strategies and navigate through the challenges to uncover the well-kept secrets that have led to these exceptional women to that first million and beyond. Today, right here and right now, we are live with none other than Danielle Dinkelman. Her story is set to inspire, her insights are set to transform, and her journey is a testament to the incredible potential that awaits inside of each of you. So without further ado, let's dive into the heart of Her First Million and welcome my first guest, Danielle. Hi, Danielle.
Hello, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
An accident. Hopefully that doesn't give us a hiccup, but I'm just going to give us a second. I clicked the wrong button. So with Danielle is it's still kind of thinking. So I'm just going to chill here for a minute, make sure that we don't lose anything. So there we go. I see that my online is working now. So Danielle, thank you for holding there for a moment, but thanks for being here. Danielle is a national board certified health and wellness coach and the author of the book, If Diets Don't Work, What Does? As a sought after coach and speaker, Danielle is known for her philosophy of doable, enjoyable changes for long-lasting results. Danielle lives in my home state of Oregon in the city called Oregon City with her husband and 4 children. She is trained classical musician, an avid bird watcher, tree lover, pickleball addict, and rock climbing enthusiast, which I luckily get to see that rock climbing wonderfulness that happens on your Facebook page now that I am Facebook friends with you. So that's really fun. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So can you tell us a little bit about the definition of self-care? So to me, self-care feels like one of those elusive words that I don't really quite understand what it is. I thought I was doing it. What is the definition of self-care?
That's a great question. I don't have a structured definition. I think that each of us get to kind of find what that means to us, and it will look different for each person. For me, I know I'm doing self-care right when I feel okay and when I feel like I can show up at my best for my family, for my friends, my community, my work. When I start to feel frazzled, stretched too far, overworked, just tired or bitter, resentful, when things start to feel like a chore, like it's a physical experience, it's also a mental, emotional, energetic experience. So to answer your question, self-care is whatever it takes for you to not feel that way. And on the other side, on the flip side, we want to feel like we can show up. We are giving from our abundance of energy to all the things that we care about. And that there's this level of ease and flow. And I got to tell you, I haven't figured that out 100% yet. It's an ongoing process, it's an exploration, but I've been engaged in that for some time now. And I feel like I've definitely learned some lessons for myself as well as in my coaching experience of what that looks like for other people. And it is different.
It's different. How is self-care connected to business growth, in your opinion?
In my opinion, it's essential, especially with the folks that we're talking to, folks that are running businesses that are incredibly demanding, right? So
Mhm.
you focus on folks that are in the trades, especially women that are in the trades, and I love that. I was raised by a tradesman. My dad has been a solopreneur, carpet cleaner for the last 30 plus years, and that's the space I grew up in, and I watched him struggle. I've watched him be successful, and kind of both on the business side and the personal family side, seeing that. So,
Mhm.
I think we learn really well from watching other people's mistakes. I know I do. And I always admired my dad for kind of this work your guts out sort of work ethic. And that's how I showed up for a really long time. And it wasn't until I burned out the first of multiples, that I started to realize, maybe there's another way to do this. And maybe building a successful business doesn't have to come at the cost of whatever it is for you. Maybe it's your happiness, maybe it's your physical health, maybe it's your zest for life, whatever that is. For my dad, it's just like been watching his body just deteriorate, and
Mm.
he still wants to be young and sprightly and fun, but then he does those things and then he pays for them because he he literally just like sacrifices his body in this business he's in. But so I don't know. Did that
Yeah,
answer your question? It's like
definitely.
you have to take care of yourself in the process. It is essential
Mhm.
to take care of yourself.
And what resonated with me was the burnout piece. And so you've experienced burnout. What I've heard before, so when I owned my bakery business, so I had a bakery business in 2012 for 7 years. I probably slept a handful of hours a night for multiple years. I had a wholesale manufacturing facility. I had a retail store. I had staff running 7 days a week, 3 shifts. And it was mayhem. Just to say, that's just how it felt. It didn't feel like that in the moment. But when I would talk to other folks about burnout and self care, what I heard, and maybe this isn't what they said, but what I heard, what I interpreted was that when burnout happens, it happens again fairly quickly. So
Mm.
when you experience burnout, what did that look like for you? What were the feelings that came out, and what did burnout feel like for you?
Yeah. So one of my more recent experiences with burnout was actually after I wrote my book. And it's been 4 years now since I wrote that. And I sprinted on it hard. I wrote that book in 6 months. I like
Wow.
from the inception, the idea to publishing, it was a 6-month process.
Hmm.
And that's insane. If you've ever written a book, that's absolutely insane. So
Hmm.
what it felt like for me was hitting a wall, is how I describe it. I can't move forward. I have
Hmm.
nothing left to give. I don't wanna. Like, I don't wanna play anymore.
You don't wanna.
I don't want any of it. I don't want my life. And
Mhm.
it's all of it. It's my work, it's my family. Like, I
Mhm.
just was no good to anyone, including myself, especially
Mhm.
myself. I was just
Mhm.
done.
Yeah, I see burnout show up in me when my brain doesn't work. I call it when
Mm,
my brain doesn't work. It just shuts off.
yeah.
I have to watch TV nonstop. So I've literally watched like 4 to 6 movies in a row where the movies, I don't even remember what they are. I don't even care when I'm selecting
Yeah.
them. That's how much, like, I see that with you, what you just said. Like, I don't care. I don't care about my life.
Yeah.
I also get a little bit of guilt in the back of my mind. I'm thinking I should be doing something right now that's furthering my career, my family, my goals.
Yeah.
But I do allow myself that one, the one full day where those stories like intertwine, and I do live through that guilt process. But I guess I want to kind of transition our conversation to, okay, those are the feelings of burnout. How do we identify what self-care means to us, and what are some of the things that we can do, well, like getting out of the burnout stage?
Yeah. So I look at it a few different ways. If you're already in burnout, you need to do something drastically different than what you would need to do to prevent burnout. Those
Mm-hmm.
those two things are very different. So
Okay.
like recovering from burnout, you do need to stop everything. You need to go down to the absolute bare minimum, and you need to like I look at it as like healing your relationship with yourself. It's like you need to send a message to yourself, your body, your spirit, however you want to think about it, loud and clear that I hear you. We overdid
Mm-hmm.
it. I'm gonna take a step back and I'm gonna do it different, right? And if you need a coach, come talk to me. So help you through that.
Mm-hmm.
It's different when we are wanting to prevent getting to that point, right? And I have
Mm-hmm.
experienced all of it. I've experienced having to recover, and I've experienced now I'm more aware than I've ever been before of when I can kind of see the early signs that, ooh, okay, I'm starting to overdo it again. So how to navigate self-care leading up to that and preventing it is constant checking in with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have some quiet time? And this is laughable, right? For like the
I know you have
mayhem.
4 children. How does this happen? In the bathroom?
Well, and
No, not even in the bathroom.
and I'm even thinking for the mayhem you described in your business, right?
Yeah.
This might be laughable to women that are running a business and probably having some sort of family and social life and community involvement, right? We are whole people living a whole life. So it might be
Mm-hmm.
laughable,
Mm-hmm.
but that's why it's so essential. It is so essential to find that quiet time. And that can look so many different ways. For some people, that's a meditation practice. For me, it's waking up before my kids wake up. And
Mm-hmm.
even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, gloriously, if I can get 30, 40, 60 minutes, if I can wake up before them and come into a space that's mine and just be still and just
Mm-hmm.
be quiet and just observe. How am I
Mm-hmm.
feeling in my body? My neck hurts. My hips are kind of sore. My chest is tight. Maybe it's hard to take a full breath. Okay, checking in with the body. And then it's checking in with my mind. Like where do my thoughts want to run to, right? And if you've looked into meditation, you know that there's practices around that of just observing and not judging the thoughts. You're not trying to change them. You're just
Mm-hmm.
being the observer. That's a
Mm-hmm.
place to start. And then checking in emotionally. Where are my emotions right now? Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling angry? Can we identify that? Can we name it? Right? So, wow, you could do that whole thing. What did that take? That took maybe 45 seconds for me to walk
Mm-hmm.
through that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and I can tell even just in you, Amanda, that you like feel more centered and grounded right now because you were just doing that with me, right? Which is awesome. It is that easy. Okay. And so we
Well,
need to give that space. And maybe
mm-hmm.
you've practiced this before. And so I have no idea where you're coming from with this. But even those
Mm-hmm.
that are listening to this right now, did that impact you to be asked those questions? Could you carve out some space, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes to start, that is just yours to be still and be silent and start asking those questions? What I would then do from there is to finish a session like that with the question, what do I need?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need? What does my body need? What does my mind need? What does my heart need? Whatever it is, like better if we can go full picture and holistic with it in all of those dimensions. And then what can you do today to answer that question? You know, and the hardest this I've worked with people that live in the mayhem that you described.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really hard work. This is a really, really hard thing I'm asking. But it
Mm-hmm.
is so powerful, and it is the biggest gift you can give yourself, is to answer that question and to meet your own needs. It might mean I need to end work a little earlier today so that I can just have some chill time with my partner. Maybe that's trust whatever comes into your mind, honestly, like trust the thing. And then the brain that comes in and says, "You can't do that. You don't have time for that." You can say, "I hear you. I think I'm going to try it anyway."
Mm-hmm.
You know? So that's where I would start. And I would trust where the intuition and where those thoughts take you of what would feel really supportive to me today. There's lots of different ways we can frame those questions. That's a place to start.
So I might take us back a little bit, and I love those tools that you just gave us. But just to reinforce what that means, I guess for me, I have always been someone that's been in my head, and we work in places where there's a lot of male energy around us all the time. Male-dominated industries can be in any industry, but trades, manufacturing, IT, tech. We are women who are already doing so much to stay ahead in our fields, in our business. To we sometimes have to show up over prepared, and I can see past Amanda. So I've done a lot of work since I left my bakery business, and healing. My healing journey has brought me to a place where I can do exercises like that. But if I look back at 2016, 2015, Amanda, I don't think that she would have been like listening to quiet time. Yeah, no. Like, am I going to break down? Some of the questions that I had for myself, and the reason why I never sought out even a business coach or anyone that had coach at the end of their names was because it had a lot. I associated it with therapy, and I didn't need a therapist. And to be honest, when I dig deeper into that, I was scared that if I told the truth of what was going on in my business, or if I stopped and thought in any capacity, that I would break.
Yeah.
I would turn into a crying muddle. I don't love crying. I think, that vulnerability. When someone told me in 2015 or 2016, vulnerability is going to be your superpower, Amanda. And I said, what the heck is that? And that sounds terrible, and weakness and is written all over that. I'm going to keep this wall up, and I'm going to keep thinking, because I can think my way out of anything. But it turns out that I can't. So if we can back into why is self-care so important to business owners on their road to that 1 million.
Well, can I just say that if we are women in a male dominated industry, which I feel that way. I mean, I'm in the B2B space. My company provides an employee wellness program to other companies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the business world. I feel like I have to keep up. I have to show up. I have to overperform, over prepare, all of those things to keep up, right? To compete.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I
It
think
feels
there's another
heavy.
way.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's another way. And
Okay.
I think that if we embraced our feminine energy, our intuition, our heart-centeredness, our compassion, our nurture instincts for ourselves and others, I have seen amazing women building amazing businesses with amazing culture that, to me, it gives me hope for the future, that our business world can evolve and
Mm-hmm.
our business world can heal. Our business world can get to a place of wholeness, that it doesn't have to be male dominated energy, whether that's men or women showing up in masculine energy, that it has to be just this way and it has to be all in our head. But if we can normalize dropping into our heart, dropping into our gut, if we can normalize that, wow, I want to be a part of that economy. So just putting that out there, that's
I love that.
more exciting to me. That's
collaborative is what I hear. I hear intuition. I hear, and just one shift that I made in communicating with people is using replacing the word I think with I feel.
Ooh, yeah.
So that's one trick that I learned recently. I mean, this has just been the last maybe 6 months-ish. I just transitioned that word. Instead of anytime I wanted to say, I think this, it's I feel that. And then it just helps bring me, place me back into feeling. And even if this sentence ends up the same, it just shifts it just a little bit for me personally. But with you, stressed out business owners, because you see them all the time when you're in that space, employee wellness that you do now. You see these stressed out business owners. How can we improve our self-care? So we've got meditation as a tool, or not necessarily meditation, but that meditation 1.0, which can take anywhere between 45 seconds to 5 minutes, whatever you have time for yourself, tapping in. We talked about that. What are some other ways that we can improve our self-care?
Yeah, I think it's the other side of the conversation that you have in that. I'm going to call it a check-in. Like, don't call it meditation. Don't call it stillness, silence, and don't call it anything that you feel resistance to. Call it something that you can be like, yeah, I could do that. I could check in with myself. I think most people could be okay with that. The self-care practices, the steps is listening to yourself and answering it, right? Like you probably wouldn't have an employee call you up and say, oh my gosh, my kid is super sick. I need to check out today. I have to go do this thing. You wouldn't say like, that's not okay. You're fired. You wouldn't do that. You would say, oh my gosh, totally. Yeah. Take care of it. We got this covered. Thanks for letting me know. You would show up for that person in that way, right? You would give them space. You would give them permission, right? You would help them feel safe and okay to do that thing. Give that to yourself. Okay. So pick something small. I would say pick something small but significant, and then commit. Like draw a line in the sand. So I'll give you an example. Actually, for me, we were talking about bouldering, right? Talking about rock climbing. I'm still grappling with the fact that I take an entire morning. I leave my house at 9:30 every Monday morning, and I do not come back until 12 o'clock.
Wow.
I know, right? Okay, that's like I almost feel like self-conscious, like admitting that I take that much time for myself. And isn't that funny that I think that that's not okay? Isn't that interesting? So yeah, are there trade-offs that I build in around that to make that functional, make that work for my business? Yes. For example, yesterday I was up at 6 a.m. working on a report for a client. Okay. No big deal. Like that's the trade-off that I'm choosing, right? And as business owners, you get to choose your trade-offs. You get to design your day. You get to design your business. You get to design your world. That's part of the really cool thing about being a business owner. So be careful of the shoulds and the have tos and the I can'ts that show up, because it's like, is that real or is that just in my head? Could I just like break that rule? Could I make a new rule? My new rule is I go climbing every Monday morning. I check out. And it is one of the most productive 3 hours of my week, because I come home totally high on endorphins. I'm so excited to do it again next week. It's productive. So find something. So don't take 3 hours out of your day right now. If you're doing nothing for self-care, please don't do that. I'm giving you an extreme example, but I
Yeah.
am saying draw a line in the sand. So for me, like it's on my calendar and it's on my work calendar. My assistant
Mhm.
that helps me manage my calendar, she sees that and she might be
Mhm.
judgmental about it, and that's okay. But I know that this helps me show up at my best. So
Mhm.
what is a small thing that you could start doing that would help you show up a little better? So I'm going to give you some categories to think
Sure.
about.
Yeah.
Something that would feel restful. We really suck at resting. You gave us a
Mm.
great example of that, right? We traditionally, we really suck at resting, and that could be, not getting enough sleep. That's one piece. It could be, gosh, I have a puzzle in my family room right now. That's restful to me, to just like give
Mhm.
myself permission to, okay, I just finished that meeting with my coaching staff. I'm going to take 5 minutes. I'm just going to go like do this puzzle. Like
Mhm.
that's restful, letting yourself be. Okay. So, and this is brainstorm stuff that you can be doing of like, what would feel restful? The other piece, what would feel playful? That
Mhm.
climbing for me is playful. It's play. It's a puzzle on the wall that I get to do with my body. And it is so freaking fun.
Mhm.
Play is productive. Okay. It opens our minds, it clears our thoughts. It's so productive. It's so cool. So, what would be playful? I also really enjoy playing pickleball. Okay. I'm going to go
Mhm.
hang out with girlfriends tonight playing pickleball. Do something that's playful. Have a dance party in your kitchen when you're making dinner tonight. Like plan a fun, silly date with your partner, like something playful. Okay. Uh, and then, like, there's other categories you can play with. For me, I feel more myself when I'm learning something, when I'm like
Mhm.
really like intellectually engaged and excited about something. So I always love having a book that I'm learning something. Find out what those other categories might be for you. Like what helps you feel alive? What helps you feel more yourself, right? And for me, I'm a learner. That's my thing. And then I think play and rest is for everybody. Everybody needs
Mhm.
that. And everybody generally sucks at it. And we all need to work on
Mhm. Especially as
that.
grown-ups. Yeah.
Especially as grown-ups. Oh my goodness, we take ourselves way too seriously. And I only figured that out maybe about 5 years ago. So it's a
Yeah.
process. So permission, right? And starting
Mhm.
small, but then being really, if you can be so rigid about your work, like get rigid about your play, like
Mm.
get really strict about your rest,
Mm.
protect it. All
Mhm.
of that. We do all of the amazing things for our business, for our work, for our team. Take a look at that. Like observe yourself and like, can you hold a mirror up and say, am I giving myself all of that amazing care? Because that's what it is.
Mhm.
Care, respect. Okay. I'm offering that to others. Am I offering that to
Mm.
myself? That's
Mm.
another, like, if you don't like the word self-care, call it
Mhm.
self-respect.
Mm. That is really it self-respect is helpful for me because I self-care feels like it could be a buzzword. It's used all over. It could mean massage, like it could mean all kinds of things that, but at the essence, at the end of the day, when I was in that space with my bakery, um, self-care was the furthest away from my um, ethos because I was in survival. My cash flow was so tight. I kept getting revenue, but the profit was not there. I was missing the profit piece. I couldn't figure it out. So I was in a high stress situation. And when people said play to me, I was like, what are you talking about? And I
Yeah.
see myself, it's patterns, right? So I see myself
Mhm.
doing that even now as I'm building out I have a new membership model and I'm almost like I'm starting again, another startup
Yeah.
within my startup. And I notice myself slip. And I know for viewers who maybe like I was in my first business, you can say, oh, yeah, self care, whatever. Or you hear this idea of play or rest, and it feels like it's for someone else.
Yeah.
But the times that I have allowed myself to rest, I'm so surprised at the aha moments I have, even while resting, the creativity that comes back.
Yes.
Even last week, I worked straight through, even on at night. I've got some life changes that are happening with me that have made it where my weekends are really full. So I don't have my weekends to work on my business anymore, which is really good. But that means that I pack it all in the weeks, and I just keep going, going, going. So then the creativity falls. I am less productive. I do just what I need to do in order to make that next thing happen. And then I start to feel that almost burnout. So we're going full circle in our conversation today.
Yeah.
But one of the things that has come up in my, in this journey as I continue to like kind of play out what this all looks like in, a really successful business, 7-figure business, and being healthy.
Yeah.
One of the things that I see in my clients, and I even see in myself in these moments, are that I feel restrictive. I feel as though I don't breathe fully in and fully out.
Mm-hmm.
And that breathing piece, even just doing that. So when you're saying a baby step, when you're saying,
Yes.
you don't have to call it self-care, you don't have to call it self-respect, you don't have to call it meditation, but just a full breath in and one full breath out, you will be so surprised how
Yeah.
much you don't fully breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
And
and the
yeah.
body will tell you.
Mhm.
The body knows.
Oh, it knows.
Let it talk to you. When you try that and you feel a constriction, it's like, interesting. What's that about? Let's lean into
Mhm.
that. Let's have a conversation with ourselves. Let's check
Mhm.
in. What's that about?
And then the other really cool thing that I've discovered this year, in October, I had declared that I'm going to move my body 20 minutes, and I call it movement, not exercise.
Yeah.
For me, exercise is added stress, and I already am
Mm,
a very stressful filled person.
yeah.
Um, and so for me, I had to take the word exercise out and replace it with movement. So movement
Yes.
for me is 20 minutes. It doesn't matter how fast or how slow I go.
Yeah.
Movement 20 minutes a day, no matter what. And it has become something that is running, where I've even ran up to 8 miles recently. And so those baby steps build on each other. And I
Yeah.
think this kind of leads into one of my signature questions that I love to ask my guests, and kind of wrapping this whole thing up. Can you recommend any valuable resources, books, or workshops that you'd recommend for those striving for their first million?
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially from this lens of valuing that practice of taking care of yourself, is a book called Essentialism by Greg
Mm-hmm.
McEwen. And he actually has an entire chapter dedicated to play, and an entire chapter dedicated to rest.
Mm-hmm.
And his chapter on rest, I believe, is actually titled Protect the Asset. And guess
Ooh.
what the asset is? It's you.
Yourself. Yeah.
It's you. So that is it. If those that are listening find themselves kind of in what you're saying, Amanda, of like your past version of you, where there was a lot of resistance to this stuff, the self-care thing feels too fluffy. If you're feeling resistance to that, go check out that book. It is written by a man, which I think is actually amazing, because
Mhm.
he is leading the way to this new paradigm that I want to be a part of, which is more welcoming of the fact that we are human beings
Mhm.
and we happen to have these businesses and this work and these lives that, yes, require structure, and they require work, and they require discipline, and they require all these things, and we're human. We have hearts, we have spirit, we have energy, we have lives, we have relationships,
Mhm.
we have stories and trauma. Like, we get to show up with all of it. So it's a
Mhm.
fantastic book. It's not woo woo, it's not out there. It's actually very mainstream in a way that's like so cool to give people that are in that mainstream mindset permission and reasons. It very much appeals to the logical brain to say, you better take care of yourself.
Hmm. I have not read that one, so I'm really excited to have that as a part of my to-do list for reading. Are there any other tools and resources that you want to share?
The other one that I could share, but I hope that you'll all read Essentialism first. The other one that I
Okay.
could share is a book by Gary Keller is his name. It's called The One Thing.
Mm-hmm.
In that book, he frames up a question. This is what coaches do. We ask questions. This is what a good coach does. So I
Yeah.
really, really like the question he frames his entire book around. He calls it the clarifying question.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see if I can remember it. What is the one thing I can do that will make all other things easier or unnecessary?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question. Isn't that cool?
That's it.
It's a way of helping you, and in the book, he kind of says it kind of helps you line up your dominoes,
Mm-hmm.
right? We, as busy entrepreneur people, our to-do lists are so long. Like they regularly overwhelm me, my
Mm-hmm.
to-do lists. And if I can ask that clarifying question, then I know what the first thing is that needs my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so useful because we always have a mountain of things that we could do or that we should do. And if we can just cut the overwhelm for a moment and just focus in on that first domino and treat it like it is the only thing in the universe, focus on that one thing, then the other dominoes will fall more easily. Some of them might not even be necessary anymore if you do that one thing. And let me tell you, your self-care practices could be that one thing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
what you were saying of when you take that time, you notice your creativity coming back. Whoa, okay, by doing that one thing, you made future things easier because your creative energy has been opened up.
Mm-hmm.
So I call it a backdoor approach. Like, do not underestimate the power of finding seemingly unrelated things that make dominoes fall easier. And that
Mm-hmm.
book is a great place to explore that idea.
The one thing, and that's that question that you ask yourself is so fundamental because of I love that you alluded to, and what I heard you say is to-do lists, plural, to-do lists. Our to-do lists have to-do lists, and we can feel like that list is really long. But when you strip it down to that, asking that one thing, that one thing that if everything else that makes everything else either easier or completely disappear, that is it is amazing to look at a to-do list and see you can see that one thing that first domino. I talk about it all the time with my folks. So I love that you brought up the one thing as one of the essential items that we need or valuable resources for our companies to hit that $1 million business and beyond. And Essentialism, I can't wait to read it. It's a new one for me. I love that you brought that to my attention, protecting the asset. I'm going to put together some of these resources for everyone and get the links there in the description here in a little bit after we get done. But first, I want to thank you, Danielle, for being here and sharing your insights with me. It was super helpful to go from something that can be so easy, like a word like self-care, and can kind of feel wooey, to something that's tangible. So
Absolutely.
is there any last word that you want to give to our viewers before we head out?
Yeah, I think just to tie it all together, when you talk about the to-do lists, plural, that is not the purpose of being on this planet.
Mhm. Oh, wow.
It's not. Like, really, do we get to the end of our day, our month, our year? Do we get to the end of our life and feel good about ourselves because we checked a millions of boxes? I don't think so. So I think we need some perspective. And as I was preparing for our conversation today, I wrote this down. Success without well-being really isn't success. I think we get so fixated, and absolutely include myself in this, and I'm still in my process of like kind of peeling back the layers on this. Success for the sake of success is like pretty hollow, pretty empty. So you might step back and think like, why do I even do what I do? Why am I even building the business I'm building? And you might say, well, I'm in survival, because that's what you shared. And we, yeah, it's how we're putting food on the table. If we can get beyond survival, if we can get to, with your help, I love the amazing things that you're doing for your folks of really hashing out how to build a business that's actually profitable. If we can get past survival into thriving businesses, then what? What are you going to do with that? What do you really want? What is actually really important to you? And those are really confronting questions that most people don't think that they will ever get to ask themselves. But if you get help in your business or in your life to get out of survival mode, and once we like get our head above water, it's amazing how clarifying that can be of like, whoa, I was chasing success for the sake of success, but now that I have it, now what do I want? And that's, for me, when it comes down to it, I want to be well physically, mentally, emotionally, socially. I want to be well all of these ways so that I can just do good for the people in my business, people in my family, people in my community, for myself. Like, you gotta clarify why you're doing what you're doing and where are you going. And if everything was done, then what? And then can you design a life that actually feels good, that actually is fulfilling and feels purposeful to you? And rest and play is a part of that. Connection is a part of that. Collaboration, service, those are parts of that. That's the stuff of being human. And I think we just need more humanity in our businesses and in our relationship with work. And it starts with this funny little thing called self-care. It's a place to start. So maybe that's what I'll leave you with, of kind of wrapping that all together. But I appreciate you opening up this conversation, Amanda, because it needs to happen. And we need more people like you that are willing to, yes, talk about the nitty-gritty details and the numbers and the mechanics and like all of these businessy things, and to also talk about the humanity and the heart and the soul of being human. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and that survival mode to freedom, the financial freedom piece. I love how you just wrap that all together, because, that's where I go with folks is when we're in survival mode, we just survive. But our goals are always to get to a place of freedom. It tends to be, as business owners, whether or not we got into business because we're really good at our jobs and we wanted to build something for ourselves, or we saw a problem in the marketplace and wanted to build something brand new, or we're manufacturing a new product. Underneath all of that is still this idea that financial freedom comes from owning a business. And when we get into business is when we find out that we get distracted, that there's so much chaos, we don't know what to do. So it's with those options when we get to the financial piece of having financial wellness. And it's not the million. It doesn't have to be. Financial freedom is, that profit that's enough where you can pay your bills, that gives you options. And the options are, can you hire someone? Can we have a better life? And I dare to say that if we can take care of ourselves in the way that we talked about, if I could go back to where I was and put into play some of these even simple things as breathing and that conversation that we talked about in our heads, and listening to what's going on in our heads, and either letting that conversation either go or having that be, oh, that's my intuition, that's pushing me towards something, and truly listening to that, that I would have a different life now. But I dare to say what I'm trying to get at is that we would have a different world. And a healthier world means that we have healthier kids. With healthier kids, we have a better economy. We have families that are together. So it's such a big conversation and so great to, just dip our toe in it just a little bit. And, you alluded to it, Danielle, of that we're peeling back the layers. We're not done. So Danielle's coming here as a wonderful coach, giving you experiences that she's had so far. And I have my coaches, my consultants, my advisor, my mentor. I have 4 people that are that can see outside what I can't see. We're not done. I'm not done. So you have to settle in as business owners. We have to kind of settle in onto this uncomfortable peeling back the layers of what it means to get there.
Absolutely.
So getting there being like having our successful business, whatever that means to you.
Absolutely.
So, oh my gosh, thank you so much for all of these insights, Danielle. I feel like we could keep going for another hour or more, but we'll let our team or let our viewers soak in what we have. Please, thank you again, Danielle, for being here. And thank you so much for these insights. We'll have the links to the resources in the video description here shortly. And please remember to subscribe and hit that notification button so you stay in the loop for the next episode of Her First Million. Until next time, here's to your success. We'll see you later.